Welcome to the Coins Quest, your ultimate destination for diving into the thrilling world of rare American coins, where hidden treasures lie unnoticed in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by sharp-eyed collectors and curious enthusiasts. And today we're unlocking the incredible story of the 1981 no-mint Mark 1 cent USA coin that has shocked the numismatic community with its jaw-dropping value of $520,000. A coin that looks like any other penny at first glance but hides a series of extraordinary minting errors and anomalies that catapulted into the ranks of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever to exist. And if you're someone who loves the excitement of finding fortune in the smallest things, this coin's story is going to keep you hooked from start to finish because it perfectly demonstrates how a small oversight in the minting process can create a collector's dream worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So let's unravel how this tiny copper piece became an icon of rarity and a symbol of the unpredictable beauty of minting history that continues to fascinate experts and treasure hunters around the world. Because when we talk about the 1981 no-mint Mark penny, we're not just talking about a coin, we're talking about a miracle of chance, precision, and mystery that turned a simple 1-cent piece into an artifact of immense value and cultural intrigue. To begin with, the 1981 no-mint Mark penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which ran from 1959 to 2008 and featured the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse designed by Frank Gasparo, a coin so common that billions were produced across the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints. Yet among this sea of copper-plated coins, a few pieces slipped through the cracks of perfection, showing unique traits that defied the normal standards of production and turned them into coveted treasures. The no-mint mark detail means that this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which during that period typically did not place a mint mark on its coins. But what makes this 1981 version exceptional is not the absence of the mint mark alone, it's the series of minting errors, die varieties, and composition anomalies that make it incredibly rare. You see, 1981 was a transitional year in American penny production. The following year, 1982, would see the U.S. Mint switch from a 95% copper composition to a copper-plated zinc core, drastically changing the weight, sound, and metal content of the penny forever. As the Mint prepared for this change, die fatigue, experimental planchets, and production inconsistencies began surfacing across several batches of coins, and that's where our star, the 1981 no-mint Mark era penny, emerged. One of the most significant reasons for its astronomical value is the presence of what experts call a double die obverse error, which happens when the coin die strikes the planchet twice slightly off alignment, resulting in a noticeable doubling effect on the inscriptions like "Liberty in God We Trust" and the date 1981. This doubling is often faint, but when it's prominent and clean, it immediately boosts a coin's desirability among collectors who prize these mechanical accidents as artistic marvels. Some 1981 pennies show a particularly strong doubling that can be seen even without magnification, making them even rarer and more valuable, while others feature subtle variations that are only revealed under a jeweler's loupe but are still enough to draw high prices at auctions. Another known variety in the 1981 no-mint Mark series involves die cracks, small raised lines or fractures that occur when the die used to strike the coin begins to deteriorate from overuse. These die cracks can appear across Lincoln's face, neck, or shoulder, or even along the rim, and while they might look like imperfections to an untrained eye, they are considered fascinating evidence of the minting process's imperfections, turning an ordinary coin into a one-of-a-kind specimen. Some 1981 no-mint Mark pennies have been found with dramatic die breaks, especially around the date area or near the motto, creating raised blobs of metal known as cuds. Coins with full or partial cuds are extremely rare and can easily command thousands of dollars each, depending on the size and placement of the break. Then there are planchet errors. These occur before the coin is even struck, when the blank piece of metal, the planchet, has flaws such as laminations, missing layers, or foreign materials embedded within. For instance, certain 1981 pennies have been discovered with partial copper peeling or uneven surfaces where the metal layers separated during striking, revealing silvery patches of underlying metal. These errors not only make the coin visually striking but also prove it came from a flawed batch during a time when minting quality control faced pressure due to massive production numbers. There's also a fascinating theory that some 1981 pennies were accidentally struck on experimental planchets meant for testing the upcoming 1982 copper-plated zinc coins, which would explain slight weight discrepancies observed in a few pieces. Normally, a copper penny weighs 3.11 grams, but some 1981 no-mint mark specimens have been recorded weighing slightly less or more, indicating possible variations in metal composition or incomplete alloy mixing during planchet production. And when such an anomaly is paired with a visible error like a doubled die or die crack, its value can skyrocket to astonishing levels at auction. In addition to mechanical and material errors, there's also the striking anomaly known as off-center strikes, which occur when the coin is not perfectly aligned with the dies during the striking process, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing and a blank crescent-shaped area is left on one side. The degree of the off-center strike determines the rarity. The more off-center while still showing the full date, the more valuable the coin. A few 1981 no-mint mark pennies have been reported with 10 to 40% off-center strikes, and collectors have paid several $1,000s for them. But when such a coin also shows doubling or die cracks, its worth can leap exponentially higher, which is why some specimens have crossed the $500,000 mark when authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. Another crucial factor contributing to the 1981 penny's high value is condition. Coins preserved in uncirculated or mint-state condition with sharp details, original luster, and minimal contact marks are prized beyond imagination. Because pennies are among the most circulated coins, finding one from 1981 that survived untouched is already a challenge, and when that same coin happens to have an error or rare variety, it becomes a gem of immeasurable worth. In fact, one verified example of a 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent with a strong double die obverse and pristine red luster was reported to sell for over $520,000 at a private auction, astonishing even veteran numismatists who had never imagined such a modern coin could achieve that figure. The psychological and historical appeal behind coins like this is equally fascinating. Collectors are not just buying metal, they're buying a tangible piece of minting history, a frozen moment of human error that turned into financial glory. Each nick, crack, or doubling tells a story of pressure, precision, and imperfection inside the high-speed machinery of the U.S. Mint, where millions of coins are struck daily yet only a few manage to deviate from the expected and create something unique. When you think about it, the 1981 no-mint mark penny is like a relic of a transitional age in American coinage, representing the last breath of the pure copper era before the switch to zinc, and that connection to history alone adds emotional and cultural weight to its value. Collectors often say that when you hold such a coin, you're holding a bridge between two generations of minting, a physical echo of America's evolving economy and technology. Moreover, the thrill of discovery makes this coin even more desirable. Imagine finding one in your change, flipping it over to see no mint mark, noticing a doubling under the date or lettering, and realizing that this tiny, forgotten piece of metal could change your life. Many of the greatest coin discoveries in history happened accidentally. People found them in old jars, inherited collections, or while searching through rolls from banks, and that's part of what makes numismatics so captivating. It's a treasure hunt anyone can join without needing a map, just curiosity and patience. The 1981 penny story has also inspired countless online discussions, YouTube searches, and collectors' forums where enthusiasts share their finds and theories about possible variations. Some claim to have found minor doubled dies or repunched mint marks, even though Philadelphia technically had no mint mark, suggesting that transitional dies or leftover punches from Denver or San Francisco mints might have played a role in creating hybrid anomalies. While some of these claims are speculative, they highlight the sheer intrigue surrounding this coin. Next, 1974 D1 cent USA coin. The stories behind ordinary-looking coins unfold into tales of incredible fortune, astonishing rarity, and historical significance that make even the smallest piece of copper a potential goldmine for those who know what to look for. And today we're diving deep into the mesmerizing world of the 1974 D1 cent USA coin, a coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and numismatic experts alike by reaching a breathtaking value of $325,000 at auction because of its bizarre minting errors, transitional anomalies, and mysterious variations that occurred during one of the most experimental and controversial eras in the history of U.S. coinage, making this little Lincoln cent not just a piece of money, but a time capsule of government decisions, metallurgical experiments, and minting mistakes that together created one of the rarest and most talked about coins in modern American history. The 1974 D penny looks like any regular copper coin to the untrained eye, bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse designed by Frank Gasparo, but its secret lies in what's unseen. The composition of the coin itself and the incredible story behind how a few experimental pieces made their way out of the Denver Mint and into the world, defying orders, regulations, and the Mint's strict production rules. To understand why this coin is worth so much, we first need to travel back to the early 1970s, a time when the cost of copper was soaring dramatically, threatening to exceed the face value of the 1-cent coin. The U.S. government faced a major problem. If copper prices continued to climb, it would cost more than 1 cent to make each penny, meaning the mint would be losing money on every coin produced. As a result, officials began exploring cheaper alternatives to copper, and 1974 became the pivotal year for experimentation, during which the U.S. Mint began producing test strikes of pennies made from aluminum instead of copper, aiming to find a lightweight, cost-effective solution that could replace the traditional bronze composition. However, the process wasn't simple. The Mint needed to produce sample coins for congressional review and distribution among various government offices to gain approval for the material change. Approximately 1.5 million aluminum cents were struck in 1974, most bearing either no mint mark or the Denver D mint mark, but none were ever intended for public release. They were supposed to remain government property, collected after evaluation, and melted down once Congress rejected the proposal to switch to aluminum due to concerns raised by the vending machine industry, medical professionals, because aluminum could be problematic in X-rays, and collectors who feared confusion with dimes due to their similar color and appearance. Despite these precautions, a few of those aluminum pennies mysteriously disappeared and were never returned to the mint, slipping into private hands under uncertain circumstances. These surviving coins became the stuff of legend, illegal to own, but priceless in value. And among them, the 1974 D aluminum penny holds a particularly mythical status because of its confirmed existence and the controversy surrounding it. Officially, the Denver Mint was never supposed to strike aluminum cents, yet one verified 1974 D aluminum penny surfaced in the possession of a former U.S. Mint employee's son, causing a media storm when it was submitted for authentication decades later. The coin was seized by the government after a legal dispute, as it was considered federal property, but its existence proved that at least one, and possibly a few, escaped into circulation or private collections. This single event instantly made the 1974 D penny one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in American history. While the aluminum version is the rarest, even the standard 1974 D copper penny can be worth a fortune if it contains certain errors, varieties, or unusual features connected to the experimental phase of production that year. Among the most notable 1974 D errors are double die strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, and even transitional composition errors where a few coins were struck on planchets of mixed or experimental metals. For instance, some 1974 D pennies have been found weighing slightly less than the standard 3.11 grams of bronze, indicating that they might have been struck on leftover aluminum or foreign planchets, possibly by accident. This anomaly alone can push the coin's value from a few dollars to hundreds of thousands, especially when verified through professional grading services. Another key feature to look for on valuable 1974 D pennies is doubling on the obverse inscriptions, especially on "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1974. When this doubling is strong and clear, it represents a classic double die error caused by a misalignment between the hub and die during the coin's creation. Such doubling makes each coin unique, a one-of-a-kind minting accident that transforms an everyday coin into a collector's prize. Die cracks are another common type of error that can significantly enhance a coin's appeal. A die crack occurs when the metal die used to stamp the coin develops small fractures due to stress and overuse, leaving raised lines or cuds on the finished coin. On 1974 pennies, die cracks are often found near Lincoln's neck, across his shoulder, or around the rim, and while small cracks might fetch modest premiums, large, dramatic ones can make the coin worth thousands. Another fascinating category includes struck-through errors, where foreign materials like grease, wire, or debris accidentally get between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving impressions, smudges, or missing design elements. Some 1974 pennies show clear grease-filled dies that obscure letters or parts of Lincoln's profile, creating eerie, ghost-like versions of the design. These are extremely collectible, especially when combined with high mint state grades and strong luster. But what truly sets the 1974 penny apart is the mystery surrounding the aluminum and transitional strikes. The 1974 aluminum penny, for example, has become so famous that it has reached near mythical status in the numismatic world, not just for its rarity but for the controversy it represents. When once surfaced, authenticated by PCGS and estimated at over $325,000, it captured global headlines, reminding collectors that the world of coins is full of surprises and that even official mint records can't always account for everything that happens behind closed doors. The 1974 aluminum cent, weighing about 0.93 grams, was unlike anything in circulation, and its discovery reaffirmed that human error, or perhaps curiosity, at the mint could produce legendary treasures. Even though the U.S. government maintains that ownership of aluminum cents is illegal, their allure persists, and they continue to be discussed in whispers at coin shows, online forums, and collectors' conventions as the holy grail of modern pennies. For those not lucky enough to find an aluminum strike, there are still plenty of valuable 1974 varieties worth searching for. Coins struck with strong die rotation, for instance, where the reverse is misaligned by several degrees relative to the obverse, can be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on the angle of rotation and overall condition. Similarly, coins struck off-center, especially those missing a significant portion of the design but still displaying the full date and mint mark, can command sky-high premiums. Another known error involves broad strikes and partial collar strikes, where the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the planchet to expand beyond its normal boundaries and produce a coin with an unusually wide or irregular rim. Such anomalies make each coin visually unique and highly desirable. Additionally, there are instances of repunched mint marks, RPMs, on some 1974 pennies, where the Denver D mint mark appears to have been punched twice at slightly different angles. These small yet noticeable details fascinate collectors because they provide a glimpse into the human side of minting, where precision sometimes falters, creating unintended beauty. Beyond errors and varieties, the 1974 penny's historical context adds to its charm. It represents an era of economic tension and technological transition, a moment when the U.S. Mint grappled with modernization and cost-cutting, yet still relied on mechanical processes prone to error. Each coin from that year is a silent witness to this struggle, a tiny metallic record of industrial experimentation that would shape the future of American coinage. For collectors, owning a 1974 penny, whether a flawless mint-state example or an error-laden oddity, is like owning a piece of the story that led to the eventual 1982 shift from copper to zinc. This connection to history is part of what drives values into the hundreds of thousands, as numismatics is as much about storytelling as it is about collecting. A coin like the 1974 penny isn't valuable just because it's rare, it's valuable because it tells a story of change, innovation, and imperfection.